About 10 years ago, I had this fear that I was really not quite good enough to be presenting and talking to other people, that somehow I didn't really belong. Now, by then, I was okay at speaking in public, but frankly, I was not that interesting. So I started my meetings with really big words and lots of them. And I thought I was showing how smart I was and that I was important enough to be there. But what I was really doing was making myself look arrogant, obnoxious, and a bit of an ass. Now I know that to become a confident, interesting public speaker, starting strong with how I'm talking is a powerful technique. And I have learned that there are 3 steps to starting strong. And today is all about step number 3, how to make those very first words we speak to our audience relevant to them. My name is Danielle Drew, and today I am a confident public speaker. But for years, I'm languishing in what I call being a speechless speaker because I was so terrified of talking in public that my throat would close up and I couldn't make a sound, let alone form any kind of words. I could never have imagined standing on stage talking to audiences all around the world like I am today. In fact, that would have been my worst nightmare. But it's what I do now. I speak live to audiences 2 or 3 times a week, every week, and I love helping others to overcome those limits that public speaking fear and anxiety can put on people. And I have found that the easiest way to improve public speaking skills is by simply learning tips one at a time. So that's how I help people easily improve their speaking skills. So let's jump into why using relevant words are important. First reason is it grabs attention and hooks your audience immediately. If we're not relevant to our audience, they're going to turn off and just not pay attention to us, looking bored and maybe even playing with their phones. As the speaker, that is an awful feeling, and it just creates this pit of anxiety and stress in the bottoms of our stomachs. As well as grabbing attention, being relevant shows that you understand your audience and what they need so they can start to trust us. On the other hand, irrelevant words can kind of erode that trust and make our audience feel like we're wasting their time. And finally, after grabbing their attention and building this trust, this tool really helps to boost our own personal credibility because those first few sentences being relevant really shows that we have prepared for our talk. On the other hand, being irrelevant can sadly translate as being unprepared. And no matter how much time we put into the talk, those first few words can either make or break our presentation. So that's why being relevant is important. And now I'm going to share 10 easy ways that I have found to start your talk with relevance. Now, here's a small caveat before we start. Don't use all 10 at once. As we go through these, see which one grabs you, which one do you think might be a good fit for you, and just do that one, okay? Number 1, research your audience beforehand. I encourage you to know who you're talking to before the speech so that you can start with something that's relevant to them. For example, I'm doing a talk in a couple of weeks on the power of body language, and the audience is a group of managers. Now, I've asked the organizer to share with me what's the biggest challenge that this audience is likely to be experiencing. And the reply was this particular group is struggling with being unsure of themselves and how to interact with people who are more senior to them. So that was great information. You know, when I was 24 years old, I was the youngest person on the executive team and the only woman in a male dominated industry. I felt really uncomfortable and frankly, it showed. So today, I'm going to share how I learned to project confident body language, and you will learn how you can participate in any meeting with presence and authority. That's how I start my talk on body language. Telling a story, grabbing attention with relevance to the audience. Now, this is a true story, so it's authentic and it's relevant because it's likely that some or all of my audience can relate to being uncomfortable, which I know from the research that I did beforehand. Second thing is talking about their pain points. Nothing gets attention like the solution to a problem. It's like finding that missing piece of a puzzle. Once it clicks into place, the whole picture comes together. I do presentations to martial arts business owners every single week. And for this industry, recruiting new members is a common pain point. And this is how I used relevance to open a talk at one of my presentations. You put your heart and your soul into your school, and your students, they love training with you. But sometimes getting new members can feel like this uphill battle, right? Ads cost money, word of mouth isn't enough, and trial students, they're ghosting you before they commit. I get it, I've been there. Today, I'm going to share what actually works so that your mats stay full and so that your business thrives. Now, I started with pain points that are relevant to the participants so they feel like they're in the right place, and I also established my credibility. It's a really strong opening. A third way of doing it is to connect with your audience's goals. If you start with their goals, it's like someone's handed you a map to the treasure that you've been searching for. So let's say our talk is going to show our audience how to increase sales without increasing extra hours. We might start our talk with a relevant example of an outcome that is connected to those goals. For example, last year, Sarah was working 60 hours a week and barely breaking even. Fast forward to 3 months later, and her sales have doubled. But here's the kicker, without any extra hours. Today, I'm going to show you how she did it. Now, if you are in this industry and your goal is to make extra sales without extra hours, that's probably going to grab your attention, right? Fourth way is to use the audience's own language. Speaking their language is like having a custom key that perfectly fits their lock. It shows that we are prepared and that we understand our participants. For example, if we're addressing a real estate group, we might open with something like this. Guess what? Location, location, location does not count when it comes to closing the deal. All the hustle and the best open houses and all the follow-up in the world won't get you the sale if you get this part wrong. Now, those real estate terms can establish connection quickly because we're showing that we understand our audience and their language from the very start. Number 5, acknowledge their expertise. Acknowledging an audience's expertise is like building a house on a solid foundation. It makes our talk strong. If we have an audience that's already experts in customer service, for example, we could open a talk like this. What if you could turn every client interaction into a deal closer and a guaranteed referral? You guys are already experts. So I'm so excited to share these advanced strategies to help you to build trust faster and to create those lifelong clients. Now, suddenly our audience is sitting up straighter because they're realizing that they're probably not going to be bored with the basic stuff over and over and over again like normal. They actually already know this because we tell them right at the very beginning that we know that they're more advanced. So that really grabs their attention. Number 6, show empathy. Showing empathy to someone's like giving them a warm blanket on a cold day. It's comforting and it builds trust. So let's say we're talking to a team who's working in manufacturing and they feel really frustrated because they're being ignored in meetings. Instead of jumping into how to run successful meetings, we could start our presentation like this. In the fast-paced world of car manufacturing, you know that being ignored means missed innovation, right? By the end of this session, You're also going to know exactly how to make your voice heard and how to make your ideas respected in every meeting. Now, we've shown that we understand and that we empathize with their frustrations from the very start of our talk. So we've established trust and really gotten them on board to listen to us. Number 7, include data or examples from their audience's own field. If you use industry-specific data, that shows that we are reading from the same page as our audience, and again, that we understand them. So if we're speaking to a conference, let's say it's hotel managers, we could start with an industry-specific piece of information like this. Did you know that 67% of hotel managers report struggling with converting online bookings into full occupancy? Now, this relevant industry example is a powerful attention-grabbing tool because we've immediately shown that we understand their industry and that potentially we can help them. Number 8, address a common misconception. Exposing myths, it's like wiping fog off the bathroom mirror. It lets us see better and gives us a clearer view. When I talk to large audiences internationally, I often start like this. Many people believe that public speaking is about charisma and that if you're any good, it's simply because you were born with it. But you know what? That's not really true. In fact, it's really about preparation. So I correct the misconception right from the very beginning so people can start to understand that public speaking is a skill, not a genetic trait. And that way I can get their attention straight away. Number 9, share an observation about the audience. Now, this one here is a more advanced technique. It has less preparation time, so if you're a beginner, let's put this one to one side for a while. If you are more experienced though, observing your audience is like studying a playbook before the game. It quickly shows our credibility and really helps us go onto the same page as our audience. Now, let's say we're doing a workshop with a group of hairdressers. We could start with something like this. Hey, I noticed during the color blending session earlier how focused everyone was on getting that perfect shade. That's amazing work. Well done. Did you know that that same attention to detail can be the key to building your clients' trust and to keeping them coming back? Let's dive into how. Now, this opening shows how familiar we are with that industry and with the work that the people do. And it gives our audience a reason to trust us from the very beginning. My final tip, number 10, connect to a recent change. Linking our talk to a recent change is like updating our phone software. We appear up to date and confident, and it's a great way to get immediate attention. Now, at an international conference I spoke at recently, I started with this opening. In 2009, taxis laughed off Uber and said it's just a fad. Now, Uber dominates global transport around the world. AI is reshaping the service industry the same way, and we have to integrate right now, or we're going to risk being left behind just like the taxis were. Making the link with something people are familiar with shows credibility because we're making a complex topic like AI easier to understand from the very start. So here's a quick recap of my top 10 tips to create relevance when you start your talk. And remember, it's all about getting attention, building trust, and credibility. So take a quick screenshot of that now. Again, I invite you to choose the one technique that you found the most appealing and practice that one. Do not try and do all of them at once. And here's a pro tip. If you combine relevance with the other two elements in this mini course on how to start strong with your speech opening, you're going to craft a really powerful start to your talk. So that's it for this module. Please make sure you check out the other two modules in this mini course to give you that kickstart towards being a powerful speaker and having a really engaging opening. My name's Danielle Drew. Wherever you are in the world, have a good evening, afternoon, or morning, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.